Namaste. Hello and welcome to Vata practice. Vata is one of the doshas in Ayurveda, and Vata is comprised of the elements air and space. So, air and space elements are very light, very mobile, and on the northern hemisphere, those elements get increased in the season of fall, which is now, as I'm filming this video in November, and it is possible that you have a vata condition, especially if your body has a lot of vata dosha. We all have each of the doshas, but in different amounts. So if you are someone who is maybe very tall or very short, someone like a smaller body figure, maybe you have thinner bones, maybe you are the creative type, maybe you are the anxious type, which tends to be the kind of other side of creativity that sometimes comes to us. If those are your dominant qualities, you can have a vata condition, or any one of us can have a vata condition at any time of the year. Environment plays a big part in our system, how we are in balance or out of balance. So also, if you live in an environment or have a life where there is a lot of mobility and motion, there is a lot of stress, perhaps there is a lot of thinking, there is a lot of moving around, maybe a lot of things around you that make you feel scared or unsafe. Those could be something that make the vata dosha go out of balance. And when the vata dosha is out of balance, we can feel anxious, we can feel fearful, we can feel disconnected to our bodies or disconnected from our bodies. And we might feel lightheaded and kind of spacey. We might be forgetting things. We might be just spending a lot of time in our heads and not so much in the body. So the antidote to this condition, this vata condition, is grounding, is coming back to the body, is resting and relaxing and feeling safe. So what tends to happen when we have a vata condition is that the breath only comes to the chest, and we might even start hyperventilating. So it's like a very, very topical, shallow breath. So the intention of this practice is to bring ourselves back into our bodies, to breathe fully into the belly, to do some restorative poses in the end, just to create a sense of safety and security and peace, both in the body and in the mind. I'm so excited you're joining this practice. You will want to gather a little bit of props. So for a Vata class, I like to have as many props as possible. So if you do have a bolster or like a big pillow that you can grab, you can have one regular pillow and then 2 blocks will be enough. I have 3. If you have 3, have your 3, but otherwise 2 will be enough. And then we don't need a strap, so I'll just put it out of the way so it doesn't distract us. So we'll start, after you've gathered your props, we'll start in a seated position. And you can already grab your pillow here and sit on your pillow. Cross your legs in a comfortable way. And then take your fingertips down to the ground. We're going to start with this very grounding mudra, hand gesture. So press your fingertips down. Let that lengthen your spine. You can close your eyes, or if you have a severe vata condition where you feel very fearful, very unsafe, keep your eyes open. And begin to drop down. Notice if you're spending a lot of time in your head, if all the energy is just going into your mind, racing. Can you allow that energy to begin to melt down? So it moves from the head down to the neck and the shoulders. Let that energy release down to your rib cage, your belly, down your arms into the hands and the fingers. Begin to notice the connection your fingers have to the earth. Begin to notice the connection your pelvis has to the ground. Take a couple of deeper breaths here. Notice how the inhale can lengthen your spine if you let it. How the exhale can soften you down if you allow it. And you might even imagine that you're growing some roots, growing very strong and long and flexible roots deep down into the earth. And you can just simply watch your breath, the natural rise and the fall. You can relax your abdominal muscles a little bit so that the breath can move into the belly. Allow the belly to expand as you inhale. And let it softly release as you exhale. And you can tune into your energy. How are you feeling today? Are you sensing a lot of that Vata energy, a lot of movement, maybe movement in your mind, a lot of thinking, perhaps worrying, stress? Are you sensing restlessness in your body or in your energy, having a hard time to sit still? And as you next begin to inhale, soften the fingertips away from the ground and lift your arms all the way around and up. And you might even look up a little bit. And as you breathe out, simply allow your arms to return back down. Continue like this a few times. So on the inhale, the palms can turn up as you reach the arms. As you exhale, lower the hands down. Couple more times. Inhale through the nose. A nice long expanded inhale. Remember the belly. Relax the abdominals. On the exhale, if you'd like to sigh out, release the breath out through the mouth as the arms release down. One more time. And this time as the arms lowers down, bring your palms together at the heart center. Either eyes open and your gaze soft in one point ahead of you, or close the eyes if you feel safe. Connect to the weight of your pelvis and your legs again. So you're not floating away, but you remain here, present. If you'd like to imagine your own energy field around you, inviting your own energy back. So it's healthy, it's strong, it's vital. You're inviting your energy back into your body. So you're fully present here. Maybe releasing any energy that is not yours. Just send it back to where or whoever it belongs. If you have an intention for the practice, perhaps that's the intention of groundedness or peacefulness, relaxedness, whatever it may be, you can bring that intention into your heart to make this practice just that more powerful. Lower the hands down, open your eyes. We'll continue on hands and knees. So you can slowly make your way up onto hands and knees. Spread your fingers so you have good connection to the ground. If you tend to lock your elbows when we are doing, especially when we're doing a Vata practice, we want to connect to the ground. And by blocking or by locking our joints, we block energy. So the energy will stop at the elbow and not move all the way to the ground. So soften at the elbow, on both elbows, so you have the good connection from your hands and your fingers to the wrist and the elbow and the shoulder. So you are connected to the ground, your knees right underneath your hips, and then begin to circle the spine. And you don't have to worry about how it looks like. So start slow and start soft. Sometimes if I have a really severe Vata condition, any movement can feel very terrifying. And it sounds strange to think, but if you've had a Vata condition, you know how it feels very vulnerable to open the body, and it's almost like we're letting the anxiety and the fear to just take over. So if that's what you're experiencing, move very, very slow and very gentle, very minimal movements. You can circle in the opposite direction. And the Vata dosha is also a cold dosha. So if you, like me, need to have your socks on and your shirt on, just make yourself warm and cozy. So how to nurture the Vata dosha is to make it warm and to make it loved, and it tends to be very dry as well. So if you're hearing your joints cracking, that's also another sign of Vata. We're going to do a couple of cat cows. You can curl your toes under, and as you happen to inhale, lengthen the heart forward. Keep the back of the neck long, the elbows unlocked. As you happen to exhale, press the tops of the feet down, round the spine. Continue like this a few more times. Either eyes open or close your eyes if it feels safe. And if you know Ujjayi breath, you can use Ujjayi to create that steady, slightly warming breath, the sound, to create a rhythm for the practice. And then after this next exhale, come back to neutral spine. If you do have a bolster, you can take your bolster. We're going to take a child's pose for a moment. So you can take your bolster in front of you, bring your big toes together, sit back, maybe widen your knees a little bit, come down. If you have a bolster, hug your bolster. Otherwise, lower the forehead down, the elbows down, the chest down. And just simply relax here. And if child's pose is not available, like your knees hurt or your feet and ankles hurt or your spine and neck hurts, then you can come onto your belly. That can be really calming as well. And if there is a sigh breath, you can let it out. A common sign of a Vata imbalance is a longer inhale and a shorter exhale. Just observe your breath and see if there is a chance to relax the belly a bit more. Maybe to lengthen your exhale just a little bit longer. Child's pose can be very grounding and very calming. All that we need when we have a Vata condition. Vata dosha, it accumulates in the digestive organs, or in the intestines, to be more exact. So releasing the lower belly, relaxing the lower back, just doing this pose that is great for the digestive tract, can be physiologically very helpful. So if the Vata dosha is dry, it can create constipation, and it can create gas and kind of this feeling of eeriness in our digestive system. If your head is turned one way, you can turn it the opposite way. I'm not going to because of my microphone, but you can. And just for another few moments, relax the shoulders. Fear and worry can also make us not use our diaphragm muscle when we breathe, but rather use the muscles around the neck to lift the rib cage. So instead of using those muscles in the neck and the shoulders for breathing, see if you can relax those muscles and let the belly do the breathing as best as you can. And just for the duration of this practice, you can put your worries aside, all those scenarios of everything going wrong. The Vata dosha is a master of those. It uses its creativity because the Vata dosha is very creative, but when it's out of balance, it uses its creativity to visualize and to come up with all these different scenarios on how things could go wrong and how we might be on our way to destruction and whatever it may be, creating a very visceral sense of being unsafe. And if you need to, a couple of times affirm to yourself, I am safe in this moment. I am safe in my body. I am safe in my breath. Notice what happens in your body when you affirm to yourself that you're safe. The mind will not always believe it. Don't worry about the mind. Just check in with the body. Is there a little bit more of relaxation that happens as a result of you being safe? Is there somewhere where the body can let go as it knows now that you are safe in this moment? It is safe to be here, and it is safe to feel your feelings. It is safe to pause. It is safe to be present. We will slowly start turning the head back to center. And then slowly make your way up into a seated position. So sit on your heels. You can bring your knees a little closer, circle the shoulders back. I'm going to offer a visualization technique that is called in my Ishta Yoga lineage Arohan, Avorohan. Arohan means upward lifting, and Avorohan means downward moving. And this technique might be a little complicated, especially if you're newer to yoga and if you're newer to visualization. So don't worry about it. If it's too much, if you can't quite grasp it, you don't have to use it. And maybe if you end up doing this practice a couple of times, you first do the practice without the technique, and then at some point it's available for you if you so choose. So this technique, it's called also the figure eight technique. We're going to visualize a pathway of figure eight in the torso, in the upper body. We're going to start from the pelvic floor. I'm going to show kind of sideways, but you know where your pelvic floor is. We're going to start by bringing awareness there. And then as we breathe in, we're going to imagine that the energy from the pelvic floor, it's moving up through the front line of the body. Over the pubic bone, over the navel, over the sternum and the chest, up to the space between the collarbones. So there is a little hole here. It's called the jugular notch in English. So there, the energy moves all the way up there. It follows or continues from that space through the neck to the back of the head. So the further furthermost point at the back of the head. It moves up to the crown of the head and all the way to the middle of the brain. This is on the inhale, through the front to the jugular notch, back of the head, crown of the head, middle of the brain. From here, as you begin to exhale, imagine that energy moving to the base of the neck, down all the vertebrae of the spine, to the tailbone, back to the base, to the pelvic floor. Once more, on the inhale, from the front line of the body to the jugular notch, back of the head, crown of the head, middle of the brain. As you breathe out to the base of the neck, down the spine, almost like a waterfall, a very grounding force of energy to the tailbone and back to the base. If this feels too scary and like it's too much, especially in terms of your Vata condition, if lifting the energy up feels like, oh my God, it's making me more anxious, again, leave it. But I like this technique because it doesn't only bring the energy up, but it grounds it down. So I'm going to offer for us to now practice this seated, and then we're going to practice it in our physical practice as we move through asanas. So if you're with me, in your seated position, you can bring the thumb and the index finger together in your hands, or if you need more grounding, turn the palms to face down. Close the eyes if that's available for you. And then send all your awareness down to the pelvic floor. As best as you can, let your energy and awareness gather there. Tune into your breath, and as you next begin to inhale, imagine energy moving up through the front of the body, jugular notch, back of the head, crown of the head, middle of the brain. As you breathe out from the middle of the brain to the base of the neck, down the spine to the tailbone and to the base. Inhale again, front of the body, jugular notch, back of the head, crown of the head, middle of the brain. Exhale to the base of the neck, down the spine to the tailbone and to the base. Continue like this a few more times. Visualizing this figure eight pathway in your body. You can use your Ujjayi breath. It actually makes it a little easier to stretch the breath. Notice if the tendency is to kind of give up halfway through the exhale, and see if you can trace the line all the way down. Breathe all the way to the bottom of your exhale. After your next exhale, we're going to open the eyes We're going to move the bolster out of the way. Come to hands and knees. Now might be a good idea or a good time to take your socks off, unless you are really cold. Then keep your socks on. Move your hands a little forward of your shoulders. Spread your fingers really wide, like you're really connecting to the ground. Check if the elbows overextend again. You don't want to lose that connection to earth. Bring your toes under. Lift the hips up and back. Come to downward facing dog. Bend your knees here, maybe one knee at a time, so that you're connecting to the ground not only through your arms and your hands, but also through your legs. If it feels nice, you can take a deeper breath in through the nose and exhale, open the mouth, release a sigh. And if you've been holding a lot of energy in, anxiety in, fear in, give it an outlet and really make sound, any sort of sound. You can drop your head, begin to let go of the movement in the legs, and you can bend your knees a little bit, press the floor away, lengthen the spine, and lift the sitting bones up towards the ceiling. And then from here, we're going to walk the hands back to the feet. So walk towards the back of the mat. Might even step your feet wider, bend your knees, maybe take hold of opposite elbows and just fold over your legs. Notice if you're gripping down to the ground with your toes. Might even lift your toes for a moment. Press the heel and the ball of the foot down evenly. And then relax the toes down without gripping. You can trust the floor to be there. You can trust the earth to be there. You can switch the crossing of your forearms and just maybe sway side to side. And notice also if you have a hard time letting go of your head. So if you're kind of gazing forward, that's often a sign of us having to stay in control. Can you drop your head and maybe close the eyes or bring your gaze to the floor behind you? And then let your arms release down. Walk your hands back forward into a downward facing dog, and maybe your feet are still wide and you can pause for a moment in this wide down dog. Step your feet a little closer. Lower your knees down to the mat. And then untuck the toes. Straighten the right leg back behind you. Lower the sole of the foot down. You can shift the left shin a little out to the left side and then lift your right arm up. Create a long line from the crown of the head all the way to the tailbone. And then we're going to make some circles with the arms. So we can take an inhale here. As you exhale, begin to reach your right arm towards the back, down, and as you inhale, reach your arm forward and up. Continue like this a few times. Very gentle movements, stretching or bringing a little bit of mobility and also lubrication to the shoulder joint, because again, Vata is a very dry dosha. So especially if we're very worried and in fear, all the juices, they begin to dry out and the bone or the joints start cracking. Next time the arm comes up, stay here, leave the arm up and just create these long lines. If you're feeling very, very scared, like there is a lot of fear in your body, notice how that manifests as tendency of not wanting to open. And if you're able to convince your body that you're safe, you can begin to open a little bit more, maybe float the back leg up. Just balance here. Keep the lower belly area firming in. Your gaze in one point. Gaining a bit more spaciousness and a bit more length in your body. Begin to lower the foot down, bring your gaze down, hand down, knee down. Before coming to the other side, we're going to do just a couple of cat-cow. So curl the toes under. As you inhale, open the chest. As you exhale, round the spine. Let's do one more like this. Come back to neutral spine. We're going to do the same things on the other side. So straighten the left leg back, lower the left heel down, move the right shin slightly out to the right, lift the left arm up. And then we're going to make the circles. On the exhale, begin to circle the arm back and down. On the inhale, forward and up. So slowing down. Next time the arm sweeps up, leave it there. Again, see if you can expand a little bit. You might float the back leg up, flex the foot, almost like you're pressing the foot into the wall behind you. Breathe here to the belly, to the side ribs. And then lower the foot down, lower your gaze down, your hand down, your knee down. Curl the toes under. This time we're going to press back to downward facing dog. And now an option here, if you want to use that Arohana Warahan, so starting from the base of your pelvis, on the inhale through the front line of the body to the jugular notch, back of the head, crown of the head, middle of the brain. As you exhale from the middle of the brain to the base of the neck, down, or in this case, up the spine to the tailbone and back to the base. Circulate this energy on your breath maybe 1 or 2 more times. If down dog is too much for you, come to child's pose or hands and knees. And then lower your knees down. Take one of your blocks now. Place the block between your thighs. Step the feet as close as is needed so you can squeeze the block in between your inner thighs and then lift back up to downward facing dog. And now from downward facing dog, begin to shift the weight forward. Come into plank pose. Make sure the shoulders come right over the wrists. Firm the inner thighs in. If you need to modify, lower the knees down. Keep the lower belly active here and breathe. Keep your gaze in one point. And now we want the energy to the legs and to the lowest abdominals. We're not holding plank only with our shoulders and with our face. So relax the jaw. And then begin to shift your weight forward as you inhale. With or without your knees, lower all the way down as you exhale. Point the toes back, and then as you inhale, keep the block where it is. Squeeze the inner thighs in as you lift the head and the chest for baby cobra. Just a very gentle back bend. And as you exhale, soften down. We'll do that twice more. So inhale, just a little back bend. Point the toes back, keep the legs active. Exhale, release down. One more time. From here, press up to hands and knees. Your option now, or your choice. Either downward facing dog, you can keep the block there, or come to child's pose for a moment. So whether you want to make the practice a bit more active or a bit more restorative, pick your option. If you want to use the Arohana Warhan technique, the figure 8, just circulate that energy on your breath. Can be fantastic in a Vata condition to give the mind something to do, something to focus on. So we're not circulating the worries, we're circulating energy, redirecting energy. Come to hands and knees. If you still have the block between the thighs, remove the block, and then we'll move on from downward facing dog. So press back and then start walking your feet forward to meet your hands. Bring your hands to your shins, and as you inhale, lengthen the spine, lift halfway up. And as you exhale, fold over the legs, release your head and your shoulders. As you inhale, begin to rise up and sweep your arms around and up or forward and up if you have walls next to you on the sides. And as you exhale, lower the hands down through the midline. We're going to continue using the blocks. So an option, if you have two blocks, you can place one the second widest way between your shins and the other one the skinny way between the thighs. If you only have one, pick whichever works for you better. And then make sure the toes are pointing directly forward. We're going to lift the toes, ground down through the balls of the feet, both the big toe side and the little toe side, and the heel. And then relax the toes down. Take a moment here to feel your feet almost like kissing the ground. I always found it a little cheesy, but just whatever image works for you. How are your feet relating to the ground? Connecting to the ground, embracing the ground. Feel the inner shins and the inner thighs squeezing in towards the block. So you're unlocking your knee joints so you're able to maintain the connection all the way down to the ground. You can bring your palms together at the heart center, standing up tall. As you next begin to inhale, reach your arms around and up. And as you begin to exhale, you can soften the knees and then fold all the way down. Bring your hands to your shins. As you inhale, lengthen the spine, lift halfway up. As you exhale, fold all the way over the legs. Inhale, rise up to standing, reach your arms up to the sky. Exhale, lower the hands down through the midline and feel your energy down into the legs and the feet. We'll do that a couple more times. As you inhale, reach the arms and around and up. As you breathe out, fold forward, out over the legs. As you inhale, lift halfway, lengthen the spine. Exhale and fold all the way down. Inhale, rise up, reach the arms up to the sky. Squeeze into the blocks to connect to the legs. Exhale, hands down through the midline. Same thing again. If you feel safe closing your eyes, you can close the eyes and let the breath orchestrate the movement. If you need to keep the eyes open to stay on earth, do that. Keep your focus, your gaze quite actively in front of you, whatever is in front of you. Let's do 2 more times on your own. So like a half sun salute, we call it the sun breath. A very nice way to get connected to the ground, connected to the legs, connected to the breath that is life force. The life force energy, prana, has to do with the Vata Dosha. And when the Vata Dosha, when that goes out of balance, we use the prana to fuel our mind, and not in a very, very helpful way, but many times the prana just simply burns out when our mind is on that loopy state. And we want to channel the prana into the body so we can feel vital. We can feel the body utilizing this life force energy in the correct way. Next time you come into mountain pose, your hands to heart center, pause there, standing still. You can visualize that figure 8 breath from the base on the inhale through the front of the body, jugular notch, back of the head, crown of the head, middle of the brain. On the exhale, the base of the neck, down the vertebrae. Really trace it down to the tailbone, back to the base. Couple more times on your own if you'd like. Lower the hands down, open the eyes. Take your blocks to the front of the mat. Come to stand at the front part. Now, as if you still had the blocks between your legs, stand up straight and strong. Keep your gaze in one point eye level. Notice if your gaze dips down or lifts up. Can you keep your gaze eye level? Find one point in your room that you can secure your gaze in, and just look into that point without losing all your energy into what you're seeing, but maintaining some of your energy inward. So it's almost like half of your focus goes out, the other half stays right where you are with you. So to me, Vata Dosha, it feels like all my energy and my focus is going out and it's leaving my body, leaving my energy. So keep your energy with you while you're focusing on that something with your drishti, your gaze. As you next begin to inhale, keep your gaze where it is. Lift the arms up. And as you exhale, start folding forward. Now release your gaze down, fold down. As you inhale, lift halfway, lengthen the spine. On the exhale, take your blocks, place your hands on the blocks, highest height. Step the left leg far back. Check that the right ankle is right below the right knee. Draw the right hip in and back. Hands or fingertips on the blocks. Create a long line from the crown of the head to the base of the spine. Draw the navel away from the thigh and then energize the legs. Take a couple of nice breaths here. You can let your awareness rest in your legs, coming down to the big muscles of the body. A good way of grounding ourselves. On your next exhale, lower your hands all the way down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Breathe in your plank pose with or without your knees on the exhale. Lower all the way down. We'll do a baby cobra again. Point the toes back. Lift your head on your chest. Keep the back of the neck long. Exhale, release down. Press up to hands and knees. Either child's pose if you want more restorative activity, or downward facing dog if you're feeling a bit more active. or if you need to move. Sometimes in order to relax, we need to move first, especially if we have that restless Vata energy. And then we'll continue from down dog. So next, as you inhale, lift the left leg straight back, like you're pressing something away with the sole of your foot. Maybe you're pressing your anxiety away. On the exhale, draw the knee into the chest and step the left foot down. Help it up if it doesn't come all the way. Place your hands on blocks, press the right heel back and the crown of the head forward, create a long line and energize the legs. Draw the navel away from the thigh and keep the chest open and broad. Nice. And then next inhale, we're going to step the back foot forward, lengthen the spine right away. And on the exhale, fold over the legs. As you breathe in, rise up and reach your arms up to the sky. Exhale, lower the hands down through the midline. We'll do similar round again. So as you inhale, reach your arms up. As you exhale, fold forward out over the legs. As you inhale, lift halfway, lengthen the spine. On the exhale, lower the hands to the block. Step the right leg back first. Set up for that same low lunge. Energize the legs, connect to the ground. This time optional. If you want to strengthen and energize a little bit more, reach your arms forward, but stay in that diagonal line. Lift from the pelvic floor and the navel area. So you remain lifted and elevated. And then steady, focused breath. Keep your gaze in one point and take one more inhale here. On the exhale, lower the hands down, move the blocks out of the way. Step back to plank pose, breathing in. Exhale with or without the knees, lower all the way down. Toes point back. Buttocks remain easeful as you lift your head and your chest. Draw the shoulders back to gently open across the chest. As you exhale, release down, either child's pose or downward facing dog. Choose whatever works for you. A couple of breaths here. And now from downward facing dog, on the next breath in, we're going to start lifting the right leg straight back. Push it back. On the exhale, draw the knee into the chest and step or help the right foot forward. Your hands on blocks. Draw the right hip back, the left one forward. Lift from the pelvic floor. So you're not leaking your energy out, but you're actually keeping it in. Either stay here or reach your arms up, or maybe one arm up. Nice. Keep your gaze in one point and your breath steady. This is, it doesn't get more grounding than this, I would say, at least in my body. Creates a little bit of heat and it brings us to our legs. The best antidote for Vata. Take one more inhale here. On the exhale, lower your hands down. Step the back foot forward. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale and fold over the legs. Oh. Inhale, rise up, reach your arms up to the sky. Exhale, lower the hands down through the midline. We're going to pause now, just standing in your mountain. Eyes can close. Catching your breath. The more you let your feet relax into the ground, the higher the crown of the head can lift. So you're taking up this space, not afraid to create spaciousness in your body. If you'd like to visualize the figure 8, starting from the base again, on the inhale through the front to the jugular notch, back of the head, crown of the head, middle of the brain, one smooth line. On the exhale from the middle of the brain to the base of the neck, down the spine, tailbone, back to the base. Make it like a smooth figure 8. Even if you don't hit all these points exactly, let it begin to find its natural rhythm. Especially focusing on the exhale, grounding. Lower the arms down, open the eyes if they were closed. And then as you inhale, lift your arms up, cross your thumbs, and on the exhale, lengthen up and over to the right side. Press your left foot down. I'm going to mirror. So press the left foot down and then lengthen through the left side as best as you can. Doesn't have to be too much. It can be just the right amount for you. Just a little bit of opening. And again, opening can feel very vulnerable and even scary. If we have a lot of that fear and worry energy. So just going as far as feels safe for you. As you next breathe in, come back to center. On the exhale, lengthen up and over to the other side. Press the right foot down now. Notice if you're collapsing in the chest, and can you maintain openness in the chest, and strengthen the legs and the lowest abdominals. Next inhale, come back to center. Exhale, simply float the arms down. We're going to come to chair pose next. So bring your feet all the way together. Start bending your knees, sending your seat back. Lift the arms up. Make sure you can see your own toes so the knees don't go far forward, but you bring the point of gravity down, and then just keep your gaze in front of you, eye level again. So not gazing at the floor, but the wall in front of you. Keep your drishti focused. Nice. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, fold over the legs, swing your arms behind you. Either cross your thumbs or cross all of your fingers, and then let your arms kind of come over, away from the back as much as they do. Release the head and the neck. We'll do that one more time. Start bending the knees, release the arms. Inhale, chair pose. Settle into your chair. Keep your gaze focused in one point. The legs and the lower belly active. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, fold over the legs. Lace the fingers. Let the arms release overhead or in the direction. One last chair pose. Lower the arms, bend the knees. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, this time a regular forward fold. Lower the arms down, the head down. Inhale, lift halfway, lengthen the spine. Exhale, lower the hands down. Step back to downward facing dog. If you want to add the vinyasa on the inhale, come to plank pose. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, your back bend. Exhale, we'll return to downward facing dog. We'll do just a couple more standing poses. So you can shift your left leg a little bit more towards the center. And as you inhale, begin to lift the right leg up, open the hip, and then bend the right knee. Keep energy in the lower belly. Take another inhale here, opening across the right side. As you exhale, use your abdominal strength, step or help the right foot forward. Bring the left knee down, and you can check that there is a line from the right heel to the approximately middle of your back foot. And then rise up from here. We'll come to warrior two. Check that your shoulders are aligned over the pelvis. And then you can open the arms out wide, your gaze in one point. Lower belly active, chest and shoulders free. Even your jaw can relax. The roof of the mouth can relax. Turn both palms open. As you next breathe in, rise up, lift your arms, maybe your gaze. As you breathe out, come back to warrior two. Same thing 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Almost like moving through water, slowing you down. Stay in your warrior two. Straighten the front knee, bring your hands to your hips. Turn the right toes forward, both toes on the same line. Your hands on hips, and as you inhale, open across the chest and lengthen. On the exhale, fold all the way down. You can take your fingertips down to the mat. Shift the weight forward so it's not hanging on the heels, but rather evenly on the ball of the foot and the heel. Lengthen the spine here. And then on the exhale, begin to fold over the legs. Bring your hands to a comfortable place. And then you might visualize the Arohana Warhan here. Typical to collapse in the front of the body and overly express the back body. So this Arohana Warhan can help to balance the front and the back. Even when we're in a forward fold, on the inhale, we can remember to lengthen. On the exhale, breathe all the way to the bottom of the breath. And the next breath in, lift halfway, lengthen the spine. Begin to walk your hands back to the right foot. Bring the left heel up. Move the right foot further out to the right side. We'll prepare for lizard pose. You can lower the back knee down. Use cushion if you need to. Maybe lower your hands down. Keep the pelvic floor lifting a little bit. Don't let the right knee all the way fall out to the side, but keep it close to the right shoulder. You can stay here, or you might lower down onto your forearms. And you can use the Arohana Warhan again on the inhale to lengthen through the front of the body. And on the exhale to maybe soften you down. Take a few more breaths here. And then we'll rise back up onto the hands. And now make sure your left hand is on a block. We're going to bring the right hand to the right knee. Take an inhale to lengthen. On the exhale, begin to rotate over to the right side. Press the left hand down so you're not collapsing into that shoulder. You can stay here, or if you're able to bend the back knee, reach the right arm back. You can take hold of the foot or your pants if that's more available. And then breathe here. A couple of cycles of breath. If the Arohana Warhan comes easy to you, you can use that one. And then slowly begin to release the foot. good. Bring your hands back. Step back to downward facing dog. Take your time. Remove the blocks. And then from down dog on the inhale, with the rounded spine, roll forward into plank pose. Either stay in plank pose or begin to lower the hips down, draw the shoulder blades back, lengthen the heart forward into a version of an up dog. And on the exhale, press back to downward facing dog. And we'll come to the other side, so you can move your left foot more, the right foot more to center. Lift the left leg up, open the hip, and then bend the left knee. Keep the lower belly actively firming in, and take one more inhale here. Exhale, draw the left knee into the chest, step the foot down, lower the right heel down. You can check that there is the line again. Rise up. From the lower belly in, and then turn the gaze forward. So your gaze and your focus and your intention is very clear. If you still feel ungrounded, bend your front knee a little bit more so you get into the legs. Turn the palms open as you inhale, straighten the leg, lift the arms up. As you exhale, rebend the knee and open the arms out wide. Twice more on your own breath. And on the inhale, really press the floor away. Really feel the ground as it lifts you up. Come back to warrior two and pause, your gaze forward. And then straighten the front knee, bring the hands to the hips, turn both toes forward. I'm just going to quickly turn around. Turn the feet so that they're parallel. Bring your hands to your hips. On the inhale, open across the chest, a little stretching through the front. And as you exhale, maintain that length as you begin to come forward so you don't immediately round. Take one more inhale, lower the hands down, lengthen the spine, keep the lower belly active. Exhale, fold all the way down. When we're afraid and when we're trying to protect ourselves from vulnerably opening our hearts and showing ourselves, that's when we round the shoulders in. That's when we hide ourselves, we hide our hearts, and we feel very scared and exposed and vulnerable when we begin to open. Just doing it 1 millimeter at a time. So if you've been kind of curled in by fear, just give yourself the time. Be patient with the process that you need. Each inhale lengthens through the front. Each exhale lengthens the back. Next inhale, lift halfway up, lengthen the spine. This time we're going to move over to the left foot. You're going to go to the front. I just turned the other way around, so that's why I'm going towards the back of my mat. Lift the right heel up, move the left foot to the left, and then lower the right knee down. And use some padding if you have a thin mat. First, for lizard pose, lift the pelvic floor. Keep the left knee next to your left shoulder. Keep the lower belly active, possibly lower down, but keep the front body lengthening. So we don't want to collapse and let the abdominals completely release, but you're actually using the abdominal muscles to lengthen yourself. And a little bit of hip work to release that accumulated Vata Dosha from the pelvis, from the intestines, the digestive tract, the lower back, the sacrum, where it tends to accumulate. You can exhale out the mouth, just releasing whatever frustration, anxiety, worry has been stored in, unexpressed. And all of these are just energy. They want to move. They want to be able to find their way out. Many times if we think or label something uncomfortable, we just suppress it and we block it. Rise up from your forward fold. Take a block under your right hand. We're going to do that twist here. So place your left hand on your left thigh. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, begin to rotate open. Either stay here, or if you have the back leg option available, you can take hold of the back leg. Nice. You can use Arohan or Warahan, 1 or 2 more breaths. Keeping the energy in your body, not in the head. Lower the foot down, lower the hands down, and from here step back to downward facing dog. We'll take a little break in child's pose, so lower the knees down. If you have a bolster, take one or take it. Probably don't have 5. Would be a dream if we did. And then just rest down. Relax the elbows, the shoulders, the head. Now relax the belly. So let the abdominal muscles completely let go. Let the breath move all the way to the pelvis. If your cheek is turned to one side, you can turn your head the other way, the other cheek down. Let also your heart, the weight of your rib cage, be supported by your pillow or your bolster. And slowly we'll start turning the face down, lifting up a little bit. Put your bolster out of the way. We'll come to downward facing dog. I'm turning around again. You don't have to. Just come to down dog. Take a nice breath as you arrive. Giving yourself the permission to feel whatever you feel. Much of the time, anxiety is just our unwillingness to feel. So anxiety is not the core feeling itself. It's not the root cause. Anxiety is the symptom of us not feeling what would like to surface. So the suppressing, the holding, the resisting is what creates the anxiety. So what are you unwilling to feel? Our breath is the one that connects us to our feelings. We'll start walking the feet forward to the front part of the mat. As you come into the fold, let your arms and your head hang. Energize your legs and notice again the connection you have to the Mother Earth through the feet. Are you gripping? Are you holding? Are you resisting? Can you collaborate with the earth? Just soften your feet down. Even kiss the earth if it doesn't feel too cheesy. And we'll start slowly rolling the spine up, one vertebrae at a time. Let your head be the last thing to rise, and you can circle your shoulders back. Stand up tall. Lower your chin down to the chest, and as you inhale, roll your head over the right shoulder. You can relax here. You might stretch the left finger slightly out. Might close the eyes or keep the gaze ahead of you. Stay connected to your body, your legs, the earth beneath you. So even if you're allowing some of that emotion to come up, you're not being swept away by the memory of it and the experience of it. If it's an emotion that was maybe felt somewhere in the past, but you're present right where you are. You are here. It's today. You're safe now. Lower the arm down, lower the chin back to the chest, and on your next breath in, roll the head over the other shoulder. Keep the knees unlocked, and then you can stretch the right fingers out. Release the right arm, bring the head back to center. Take your hands to your hips. Shift the weight to your right leg. Come to stand with your right leg strong. Lift your left knee in front of you. Open the knee out to the side. Place the foot to the inner thigh, or if it doesn't come that high, to the inner shin or inner ankle. Keep the hands on the hips a little longer just to balance here. Press the foot into the leg and the leg into the foot. If you're able to, bring the palms together. You might also practice this at the wall if your balance is a little wobbly today. Your gaze in that one point, not leaving your body, focused, clear, steady. Begin to lower the hands back down, turn the knee forward, place the foot down. Shift the weight to that leg now, lift the right knee up, open the knee a little out into kind of like a diagonal line. Place the foot to the inner leg, press the foot into the leg and the leg into the foot. Bring the palms together when you're ready. Gaze in front of you. If you're wobbly, don't worry. You're actually working more muscles when you're wobbly. When you're steady where you are, you're not doing so much muscular work. So many times our human mind wants to make something better and something worse. It's the nature of duality. See if you can be content with whatever the expression of this pose is and not be defined by it. Just let it be what it is. Bring the hands back to the hips. The knee turns forward. Place the foot down. Shake it out. And now we're going to shake out a little bit so you can make it a bit more vigorous. Just shake it out. You might even do a little bit of jumping if you don't have downstairs neighbors. Shake it, shake it, shake it. Move it, move it, move it. Breathe it, breathe it, breathe it. Nice. Let's let that go. Just come to stand. Still notice the motion in your body and let your body and your weight be heavy. Release down. The weight releases down to the feet. Stand up tall still. Step your feet as wide as your yoga mat. Turn the toes out. We're going to come to sit in a squat. So start bending your knees. If you need a little support, you can place a block under your sitting bones. Take your upper arms to the inner thighs. Tendency is to collapse. Lift yourself up. Bring the palms together if you're able to balance, and lift your gaze again. Eye level. And then if you want to use a Rohana Warahan, you can use a Rohana Warahan. Inhale the front line of the body, and on the exhale the back of the body. You can either stay here. If you want to add a twist, lower the left hand down. Inhale, lift the right arm up. You might stay here or take a half bind or take a full bind. We'll release the arms. Do that on the other side if you did. So right fingers down, left arm lifts up. Stay here or take your half bind or full bind. Next, inhale, lift up. Lower the fingers down. We're going to sit all the way back. Let's not yet. Take your block out of the way. Lift your pelvis. Turn the toes forward. Fold over your legs. If you're able to, take your index and your middle finger around your big toes. Otherwise, rest your hands on your lower legs. Next, inhale, lift halfway up. A little bit of a challenge if someone's looking for one. Bend your knees and sit back and help with your hands if you need to. Otherwise, if you're able to, keep your hands on your toes and then lift the legs up. And if you don't have a look, you can just lift your shins and straighten your arms forward. Just pause here. We'll just activate the abdominals a little teeny tiny bit. Nice. Take an inhale here. As you next exhale, release the legs, straighten the legs, lower halfway down, cross your forearms at the chest. Stay here. I know we're shaking. I'm shaking. I'm sure. I'm hoping you are too, so that I'm not the only one. It's not an easy pose. Let's take one more inhale here. Exhale, lower all the way down and release. A nice sigh. Let all the muscles relax. And then bend your knees. Bring the soles of the feet down. We'll take bridge pose to lengthen the abdominals so you can stretch your arms alongside of your body. Lift the hips up. You can bring the shoulder blades a little closer. Maybe interlace the fingers, or if it doesn't happen, you can also bend your elbows. Point your fingers up towards the ceiling. Keep your gaze in one point in the ceiling as if you were quite interested in that point without leaving your body and the physical experience. So stay with that pose while your gaze is in that one point. Breathe here, steady and smooth. Next, inhale, lift your heels. Separate, lower your arms. On the exhale, lower all the way down. Bring your feet as wide as your yoga mat. Open your arms into a wide T, and then let the knees fall over to the right side. Let your knees come through center over to the other side. A few more times, windshield wipers. Next time your knees come back to center from the left side. So you've done equal amount of both sides. Stay at the center. Let the knees fall in towards one another. Pause here. Feel the space between your shoulder blades resting down to the ground, like the back of your heart is becoming heavy and supported. Relax the belly again and let your breath move into the belly. The belly rise and expand on the inhale and drop and soften on the exhale. How does it feel as you begin to slow down? Can you stay safe and can you stay present? Maybe even using the Arohana Warhan, the figure 8, if your mind begins to drift back into the worry land. Tell your mind, not yet, not right now. Just welcoming this moment of resting and relaxing as it is. Begin to separate your knees and bring the feet or bring the knees to your chest. Bring your knees to your chest and wrap your arms around your legs. Maybe sway or rock from side to side. We're going to come up into a seated position. If you'd like to rock back and forth, you can do that. And then whenever you are ready to come forward, we're going to bring the soles of the feet together, open the knees wide. If you'd like something to kind of fold over, you can take your bolster, can create a nice cozy forward fold. Make sure it's the right height. Come forward, relax the arms, relax the chest. We'll pause here for about 2 minutes or maybe 3. If you have a bolster, you might even hug the bolster. Many times a Vata condition is soothed by human touch, another human being that feels safe and that feels warm. That can help us to ground and feel what it is to be inside of our bodies. Not drifting somewhere in the outer space. Being in the safe boundaries and the safe container of our body. If the figure 8 technique keeps you grounded or keeps you present, you can continue using that. If your head is turned one way, you can turn it the other way. Slowly we'll start coming up from here. You can turn your head forward and then slowly walk your hands back. Walk your hands or move your hands all the way behind you. Lean back a little bit and pause to notice how you feel. You are safe, protected, able to handle whatever feelings and sensations and emotions come your way. As you stay anchored in your body and present in the moment, whatever is moving through you will just simply move through you. Open the eyes and bring the legs in front. We're going to do a gentle back bend and release the fronts of the thighs because that's the area in the body that tends to hold on to fear. So you can take one of your blocks behind you and place the bolster a long way. Whoops. Place the bolster a long way over it. If you don't have a bolster, just pile up a lot of blankets and blocks so that you can recline. So lean back onto this one. We might want to put our socks on if it's a little cold. You want to keep your toes super warm. And by the way, for Vata condition, warm sesame oil, not toasted, not brown, but yellow sesame oil. If you can find it in a store, like maybe in the international section of your store, warm sesame oil can be really nice to rub on the feet and the legs or the whole body. Do not leave it on for more than 40 minutes. Wash it away. That can be a really nice grounding technique. Just a little side note. We're going to bend the right knee, so the right toes point back. Open the left knee out to the side. You can support your left knee with your block or something else. And then begin to recline. So sit all the way next to the bolster. Begin to recline. Rest your upper body, the back of your head onto the bolster. If you want to open across the chest and the arms and the armpits, you might bring the arms overhead and take hold of opposite elbows. So a little gentle back bend. Back bends, they increase the air and the space elements in our body. So we don't want to overdo it when we have a Vata condition. But if this feels like it's a nice, like a safe feeling stretch, you can do this. We'll pause again for another few moments. Continue breathing into the belly. If you need, the eyes can be open. Many times the Vata condition is our nervous system on an overdrive, so it's been too activated. We might need very kind of extensive measures to bring it back down from that overdrive mode. Warm blankets, heavy weights on the body, maybe that sesame oil, maybe another person, a massage, deep belly breaths, a safe place, calming music, eliminating caffeine, stress, busyness, pressure, scary things, worrying things as best as we can. Too much screens or social media. Slowing down, pausing. We'll slowly start coming back up. We'll switch the legs. So take your arms next to your bolster on the floor. Slowly, slowly, slowly lift yourself up. You can lean to the left to extend your right leg, lean to the right to extend your left. And then we're going to bend the left knee back, the right knee out. Again, move your block over to the right if you need to. Sit next to the bolster, same thing. Release down. Lengthen the back of the neck. So I like to sometimes bring the hands to the back of the head and really lengthen there. If you did cross the arms this time the opposite way overhead. Relax the belly again. And it can be a very gentle stretch. If you don't feel a lot of stretch, that's okay. If you feel too much stretch, then you can prop yourself up a little higher. The Vata Dosha needs a lot of nurturing and nourishment. Safety and warmth, connection. And especially if these things were not available when we were growing up, our nervous system might remember that unsafety and chaos. And then we need to give that nurturing to ourselves whenever our nervous system picks up on the chaos outside of us. And it often happens at the most inconvenient time, when we have the most in our schedule and when rescheduling or canceling events seems not even possible. And if our tendency is to put others always first and ourselves second, it's going to feel super uncomfortable choosing ourselves, canceling, moving things around in our planners, in our agenda. And we need to prioritize our own well-being, especially if we're caregivers, if we're parents, if we're in a position of supporting others. We'll start bringing the arms back down. Very carefully and slowly press yourself up. Straighten the legs. Pause here. Notice how you feel. Begin to flutter the eyes open. We'll do a reclining, or not a reclining, but a prone. So lying on the belly Shavasana, and then I'm going to give you an option for regular Shavasana, or you can stay in this one if you like. So put your bolster a long way flat on the mat. If you have a blanket, let me take my blanket. I forgot to say about that in the beginning, but it might be really nice for you to pick your blanket and cover yourself as best as you can with your blankie. We're going to come to the bolster so that your pubic bone comes to the bottom of the bolster and then your chest comes to the top. You could have a block or a folded blanket or a pillow for under the forehead. So lower yourself on the belly, rest your forehead down, cover yourself with your blanket. Rest your arms forward or fold your arms a little underneath you. Just make sure your shoulders are relaxing so you're not squeezing the shoulders in. You might take a couple of deeper breaths as you arrive. Let the front of the body begin to melt deeper. The back of the body also melt. And if you like where you've brought yourself on this prone Shavasana, you can stay where you are. We have about 4 or 5 more minutes. So if you'd rather take a regular Shavasana lying on your back, you can very slowly press up to hands and knees and then make your way onto your back. Wherever you are, let your body be heavy and supported. Feel the weight of your blanket over your body, grounding you down. Allow the skin begin to soften. Your bones and your muscles and your joints becoming heavier. Trusting the support beneath you. Trusting the support of invisible forces in your life. Trusting the plan of life. Trusting yourself. And just for a moment, what if you could let go of fear? Even if not all of it, a little bit. Where do you feel the fear in your body? Where do you feel it leaving when you let it go? If you need more time in Shavasana, feel free to stay here for as long as you need. If you're ready to start completing the practice, you can begin to deepen your breath. And then move your fingers and your toes. If you're on your back, draw your knees into the chest. If you're on your belly, place your hands next to your chest on the floor and then lift yourself up. And from your back, you can roll over to one side and come to a seated position. Just with minimal effort, come into a comfortable cross-legged seat. Lengthen your spine, either eyes open or close the eyes. Feel the pelvis, the legs anchored, rooted, grounded down to the earth. Your heart open, your heart trusting. Your heart peaceful. Come back to the intention you set in the beginning. Notice how you feel. Have you already moved in the direction of your intention? Bring the palms together at the heart center. Bow your head down towards your heart. Thank yourself for the practice. Open your eyes if they were closed. Keep your gaze in one point on the floor. Just ground your gaze down into that one point. We'll do one more grounding technique to ensure that we are on the ground. Make a fist of your right hand. Place your left hand on top. Lengthen the spine. Hinge forward just a little bit. Feel the lower belly activating as the fist presses gently onto the lowest abdominals. Keep the energy there, like you're drawing and anchoring your energy down. Keep it there as you hinge back up. Lift your gaze. Release your hands. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. I hope you feel very grounded. I hope you feel inspired. You feel safe. You feel peaceful. Whatever you need to do today to keep nurturing yourself, do that. My name is Michaela Soldan, and if you would like to connect, you can visit my website. There is a link below. I host retreats, I host workshops. I work with people one-on-one in terms of yoga, meditation, and spiritual coaching. I would love to hear from you, especially if this practice was helpful. Have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you.